Welcome to the chalkboard, my fellow football nerds, for episode number 201 of Chalk Talk. I'm your host, Shane Haff, and you can follow me on Twitter at ShaneHaffNFL. I'm joined today by the best co-host in the game. You've heard him on the Tough Cover radio show. It is Mark Henry Jr. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mark Henry Jr. NFL. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. For those in the Northeast area, I saw Oasis last night, one of my favorite bands of all time. So I apologize if my voice is not maybe the same boom that you're used to out there, because I was singing my heart out for about 2 hours last night, and you're lucky I have a voice at all. So let's get on with the draft, Shane.
All right. Well, let's get on with the draft. Maybe it'd be good for me if you didn't have a voice, because you've beaten me in this draft each of the last 2 years. But we are conducting our third annual Super Bowl winner and awards draft. Like I said, I'll fess up. Mark has beaten me by 1 both years we have done this. So we have 9 categories. And the first year, Mark beat me 5-4. And we were tied 4-4 going into the Super Bowl. And I had the Eagles as one of my winning teams, and he had the Chiefs. And of course, we know how that one ended up. So we can boo and hiss at Mark for taking the Chiefs instead of the Eagles. But he wins by virtue of picking against the Birds 2 years ago. Last year, it was actually only 4-3, as we missed 2 categories entirely. One of them, nobody took Kevin O'Connell for Coach of the Year, which that kind of came out of nowhere with Sam Darnold. The other one, though, is shame on both of us, because nobody picked Saquon Barkley for Offensive Player of the Year. And so we whiffed 2 categories entirely. But hopefully we'll be better this year. And hopefully, specifically, I will be better and finally take Mark down. So here's the way this works if you're new to the show. We have 9 categories. They are MVP, Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, First Coach Fired, Super Bowl winner, and which team will have the first overall pick. And so we're going to snake draft all 9 of those categories. We've got 4 rounds in each. So if Mark gets the first pick in the first, he gets to choose the category, make the first pick, and we'll snake draft that out. And then I get to pick the next category and go first. So not super complicated. And you guys can play along at home and tell us who you think has the best groups, and we can check back in on this at the end of the year. But Mark, you ready to dive in and get to this?
Yeah, I'm debating which am I going first here in terms of where we're starting.
Sure, we'll let you go first. We'll let you defend your championship with the first pick.
I'm gonna go to Offensive Rookie of the Year. We're gonna start it out with the rookies, and that's because I want Ashton Jeanty. Give me Ashton Jeanty for that Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's gonna have an absolutely unbelievable season. I've been getting as much stock in him for fantasy as I possibly can. His odds are plus 275. The next best odds is plus 350. After that, plus 850. I actually think there should be a bigger gap between Jeanty and the number 1 overall pick of the draft, but we'll let that play out for the rest of the draft. Give me Jeanty. I think he's getting 300 plus carries if he stays healthy.
Yeah, that's the slam dunk pick, right? Like if you told me Ashton Jeanty or the field, I would take Ashton Jeanty for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I expect him to get a ton of carries. And when you think about it, when was Pete Carroll at his best? When did Pete Carroll win his Super Bowls? It was feeding the ball to Marshawn Lynch. And you get Pete Carroll in Las Vegas. You've got a similar sort of setup. He brings in Geno Smith. Let's get the band back together. I think you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel with Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. I think you're going to see a lot of handing Ashton Jeanty the football. And I'm not going to concede this category already. And I will mention, in the last 6 years, every winner of this award was a wide receiver or a quarterback. And so, the history has gone towards quarterbacks, but there's not just a lot of well-positioned quarterbacks to win this award. However, I'm going to take Cam Ward to be my first pick. Now, since the year 2000, 18 quarterbacks have gone number one overall, and only 3 of those have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Cam Ward is going to start, and that's one of the big things. You've got to start a lot of the season if you're going to win the award as a quarterback. Typically, guys that went number one overall, though, are starting in such a bad situation that it doesn't matter. So we'll see if he is able to pull that out. The second guy that I'm going to go with is a guy that I know Mark loves because he counseled me to draft him in fantasy football, and I missed him by a pick. But give me Omarion Hampton. I'll diversify here with a running back, another guy that I think could get the ball a lot for Denver. So give me Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, it's a great pick. That definitely would have been where I went. I'm going to go with Travion Henderson as my next pick. I think there's a chance if Ramondre if he gets hurt or if they decide to just fully go with Travion, then he could absolutely be one of the boom players from this draft and a big fantasy league winner. I'm going to be a little strategic here. I think there's a chance I can get someone later. So let me go with Tet McMillan. I'm going to go with Tet McMillan at 1,600. He's the only receiver that I'm really, really interested in for this one. And hopefully with the trade of Thielen, Jalen Coker's hurt, I think targets will be coming Tet McMillan's way in that Carolina offense. So I'll go with Tet.
All right. Tet McMillan was a guy that was definitely on my board. I wasn't as high on Travion, but that's got more to do with the Patriots probably than anything else there. So I do like the Tet pick. He would have come off the board for me here. I'm going to take a guy that I just don't know how this is going to play out. But give me Travis Hunter. It sounds like he's mostly going to be playing offense. I don't know, is this a situation where, like, if you have Tet McMillan and Travis Hunter putting up similar stats, but Travis Hunter also has, like, an interception and a forced fumble in, like, 200 defensive snaps, they're going to be like, yeah, but he also played defense, so let's give him Offensive Rookie of the Year. I could see that putting the finger on the scale, even if he doesn't do anything defensively, if he just plays some, I could see that bringing his stock up a little bit. So I'll take Travis Hunter. And then, man, I'm going to go with Emeka Egbuka. I don't love, he's got Mike Evans in that offense, Bucky Irving's in that offense, but I am pretty high on that offense overall, and I think there will probably be plenty of targets to go around, especially if Chris Godwin doesn't come back super healthy super early. So give me Emeka Egbuka to close out my Offensive Rookie of the Year draft.
I will take RJ Harvey, just as Sean Payton's dice roll on a new Alvin Kamara. So I pardon me, wants to take Tyler Warren. I just don't think Daniel Jones will support that.
Yeah, Tyler Warren was a guy I thought about, and it was sort of the same thing. He was down there as my number 8 guy if I had to. So Offensive Rookie of the Year, Mark has Ashton Jeanty, Travion Henderson, Tet McMillan, and RJ Harvey. I have Cam Ward, Omarion Hampton, Travis Hunter, and Emeka Egbuka. So we'll move on to our next category. J-Rock chiming in the chat saying good morning. Good morning, J-Rock. Thanks for joining in to the show. So I get the first pick here, and I get to pick what side of the ball or what spot I want to go to. Let's stay with the rookies and let's go Defensive Rookie of the Year. Because I think there's a guy, I think it's not as slam dunk as Offensive Rookie of the Year, but this is a pass rusher award. 7 of the last 10 winners were pass rushers, and the 3 who weren't were corners, and they all had 5 or more interceptions except for Sauce Gardner, who had the most unbelievable rookie corner season I can remember. So give me Abdul Carter. I think he's going to have a chance to put up some good numbers in a pretty good defensive front that's not going to be able to – offenses won't be able to devote a lot of attention to him. Of course, the one downside to that is teams may not need to pass a lot when they're up by 20 in the second quarter against the Giants. But give me Abdul Carter for my first pick.
Yeah, I would have went Defensive Rookie of the Year as my next category to have the first pick in for that reason. I do think Abdul Carter is just as much of a slam dunk as Jeanty. I'm going to go with James Pierce as my first pick. Atlanta gave up a lot for him. So maybe you try to kind of do extra to prove that wasn't stupid. I do think he will have sack production. Had pretty good sack production in college. So I'll go with Pierce. That's kind of everybody who followed us in the draft remembers how much I love Pierce. And then I'm not going to waste too much time on it. Similar to reasons that Shane gave for Travis Hunter on offense, I'll take Travis Hunter on defense for Defensive Player of the Year, just in case he plays a little bit of both, and there isn't an easy candidate, and people will kind of want to give it to him.
Yeah, Travis Hunter was literally the number 2 guy when I ranked these for me on defense, and I thought I would be able to sneak him in because I think there's a chance. Like, I mean, if he has really good offensive performance and just plays some defense, but he doesn't win Offensive Rookie of the Year and nobody pops off defensively, I think there's a good chance he could get the award, even if he doesn't necessarily deserve it.
Yeah.
On the defensive side, just because he played both. So I love that pick. And I hate that you took it. So I was hoping I could sneak both of those guys. That brings it back to me here. I don't love, honestly, anybody that's left. But give me Mike Green. I'll take Mike Green for my next slot here. Again, just following my trend of you want pass rushers. And then give me Jalen Walker.
Those are my 2 top guys available there.
Yeah, I'll just double dip on pass or triple dip, I guess, with Abdul Carter on pass rushers and hope one of these guys gets a lot of sacks.
I'm gonna take Malachi Starks just as like he's got a force multiplier next to him in Kyle Hamilton. If he's a good safety, I think he'll look great. Then I'll go Jahad Campbell. I don't love it, but maybe he gets some sacks extra that help out the counting stats. If he gets a lot of tackles at linebacker, maybe he gets some of those 5 or maybe 4 to 6 bonus sacks that kind of help the resume.
Yeah, Campbell would have been my next pick as well. Not because I think he's going to put up big sack totals, but I think he could put up a lot of sacks or a lot of tackles and play for a good team, which doesn't necessarily matter for Rookie of the Year, but exposure is always good. So I'll close it out here with another pass rusher. Give me Walter Nolan. It's either Walter Nolan or Mykel Williams, and I don't love Mykel Williams, and I don't think he's going to necessarily put up big sack numbers. So
I had Will Johnson written down just as like if he gets a bunch of picks. He's got pretty good ball skills, but
J-Rock chimes in and is laughing at the regret as you picked Jahad Campbell. It's funny, like on some of these awards, there'll be nobody left we want at like spot 7 or 8, and then like last year, we will not get the correct person sometimes as well.
After my top 6, Jahad and Johnson were 7 and 8 on my list, and I didn't really feel good about either of their real chances to get the award.
Yeah. So, all right, that brings it back to you, Mark. Which category do you want to go to next?
I am going to go to let's do the Super Bowl champion. Let's go ahead and do the big one. Let's do the Super Bowl champ, and I'll take the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll take them first overall. I think they're the best roster in the NFL. Something that I've been a little annoyed with. Sean Bernard on my co-host on my radio show is doing this. He's angry anybody would pick the Packers to win the Super Bowl or to go to the Super Bowl. They weren't better before they got Micah. They're not better after, all this stuff. If we're taking that attitude, I think we have to take that attitude about literally every team in the NFL, because if we just compare on paper, position by position, like, grouping by grouping, the Eagles have the best roster on paper. It's not particularly close, but there obviously will be someone who steps up. I don't think we're just going to go 17-0 and dominate the NFC playoffs, but whatever. I do think in general they are the absolute best roster on paper, and how could you ask Howie to do anything more with this roster?
Yeah, it's hard to repeat. I'm with the Parsons thing. Eagles fans have rightly been poking a lot of fun at the Cowboys. And it's always fun that the Cowboys are bad and make stupid decisions. However, I would rather Micah Parsons be a Cowboy than a Packer, because the Cowboys were never a threat, and the Packers already were a threat. And so I'm glad that he's not in Dallas, but I wish he had gone somewhere else. If you told me, like, Jared, if you could go back and say, hey, he either gets traded for a small amount to the Packers or he stays a Cowboy, I would push the stay a Cowboy button 10 times
100%.
out of 10.
I could not agree more, Shane. I think it's a great point. I think everybody loved, like you said, everybody loved to get the jokes off. The one tweet was, I go to bed at night sleeping like a baby, knowing Jerry Jones has the access to the best medical care in the country. But I will say that you know what, it's worth having the conversation, I guess, just real quick, just to state our opinion. Jerry did the right thing trading Micah Parsons. People don't want to hear that. People are going to think I'm crazy. Getting first-round picks for Micah Parsons when you're not close to competing, I actually think is the right path. But you should not have prioritized a 30-year-old defensive tackle over a third pick, or even if it was a second or a third-round pick. I would have preferred a day 2 pick over Kenny Clark. And also, don't trade with the Green Bay Packers, who out of all the teams in the NFL might have like the most defined floor. They have picked in the bottom 10 of the draft in 5 of the last 6 years. So I just think that you have very little upside for those picks to be difference maker top 10 guys. And I don't think you should have tried to trade anything real for a 30-year-old defensive tackle. On the whole, good. I think you made the right move trading him, but bad process once you decided to trade him, I guess I would say.
I don't think they made the right move trading him.
Okay.
I mean, because you go, how often does a pass rusher like that become available when he's 25 or 26 years old? And
no, it's rare.
I understand that, like, he missed some games last year, but this is a guy who has played 3 consecutive full seasons, and then he missed a couple games in his 4th year. So, like, the only way Micah Parsons isn't a Hall of Famer is if injuries derail his career, and there's no history to suggest that, like, that's going to be a thing.
No.
So I just think trading a future Hall of Famer at the most important non-QB position is ridiculous. And I understand, like, people will throw out the $47 million cap number, and I get that. And I agree, that is a lot of money. It never should have been that. Like, he should have been signed a year ago. If you were going to trade him, he should have been traded, before the draft when more teams could have been in on it, and you could have gotten picks in this year's draft. So, like, it's A, sign him a year ago.
Yeah.
B, sign him to $47 million now. It won't be that much in a couple of years anyways. You can backload these contracts, the things that they do. And C, if for whatever reason you don't want to do all of that, trade him in March. And I thought they just kicked this can down the road, as they did with Dak and CeeDee, and this time it bit him. And I thought it was an awful move for them.
I agree with you totally. I do think if they would have gotten 2 firsts and a second from, let's say, New England, let's say that's
a huge difference, because that's a potential top 5 pick. Top 10
Arizona.
pick.
Like, I'm trying to think of teams that could have made an aggressive move, like Seattle. A team that maybe you just don't know what they are, like, definitively. Where Green Bay, we know they're winning 10 games this year.
Yeah.
So I do think if you got 2 firsts and a second from a team, you're a little bit more optimistic about the chances of maybe things going wrong, as opposed to 2 firsts and a 30-year-old defensive tackle. I do think that really changes the way we would feel.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's fair. Like, you mentioned the Patriots. Like, realistically, where do you think the Patriots pick in this year's draft?
I think they go 8 and 9, so like 11th or 12th.
Okay,
probably.
So let's say they pick 11th. And let's say the Packers make the NFC Championship game.
29. Yeah.
Win, lose, doesn't matter. Let's just say they're picking 29. Let's say they lose the NFC Championship game. The difference between those 2 first-round picks is equal to the 31st pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So, like, you're talking, it's 2 firsts, but if you did it with the Patriots, that's more like 4 late firsts. And so, I mean, I know the draft value chart's flawed, but it's a massive difference if we're talking trading him to a contender for 2 firsts or trading him to a potential top 10 team for 2 firsts and a second or something like that.
Agreed. All right, let's get back on track. Good tangent. Who are you taking with the second pick here?
Yeah, I actually meant to give that in my final thoughts, but there's the final thoughts in the middle of the show again. I'm going to go with J-Rock here, who said, I think the Ravens have the most complete roster at least like even with the Eagles, and the Ravens are going to be my Super Bowl winner pick. I just think they were so good last year, and I know there's been the playoff meltdowns, and eventually they're going to have to get over that hump. But I also just don't buy in a lot to like they can't do it in the play. They were in an AFC Championship game a couple of years ago, and it didn't go well for them. And I know the splits about Lamar in the playoffs and things like that, but this team was so close in so many different instances last year. And so give me the Ravens, and then I'll take the team that people talk about that performs better than them in the playoffs. Give me the Bills too. So give me the Ravens and the Bills as my 2 Super Bowl picks here, and I'll throw it back to you.
Lamar and the Ravens being losers who will never get it done, while Josh Allen and the Bills are, everybody's favorite team and everybody's favorite player, will never not annoy me. But I have the Ravens second and the Bills fourth. It does leave me the team we just discussed. I've been high on this team, as Shane knows, before the Micah Parsons trade. Green Bay was my pick to compete with the Eagles in the NFC. I'll take Green Bay, especially now with Parsons there at the pass rusher. And now on defense, you really feel like that team has a crazy identity where you have Parsons and Rashawn Gary at the edges. You have Edgerrin Cooper, who I think is going to become one of the best linebackers in football. There was already, if you look at the second half of last year, he was one of the best players in football in general. And then Xavier McKinney, who Shane knows I was screaming for this bad take now. I was saying last year that the best player that's going to leave the Giants is Xavier McKinney, not Saquon Barkley. I really wanted, and we were really in, by the way, we were in on McKinney for more money than we gave Saquon. Like, we would have given McKinney more money than we gave Saquon. He went to Green Bay for, I think he got 4 years, 60, I want to say, something like that. But McKinney is, in my opinion, the second best safety in the NFL behind Kyle Hamilton. So you have two, maybe the best edge rusher in football in Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, top 15 to 20, whatever he is. Edgerrin Cooper, maybe one of the young stars of the league, becoming one of the best linebackers in football. Xavier McKinney becoming one of the best safeties in football. I just think you have all of that elite blue chip talent on that defense. And then not to mention that they're one of the youngest teams in the NFL outside of that. Not to mention Matt LaFleur is a winner, and looking at his record over his career, I don't think people realize just how good. I feel like if we were, did we do our head coach rankings this year? I'm trying to.
Yes,
we did. I'm trying to think in my head where I would have had LaFleur, but I think LaFleur is awesome, and I don't think he gets enough credit. 67-33 in Green Bay. He 13-3, 13-3, 13-4, 8-9, 9-8, 11-6.
We both had him ranked 10th when we did our coach rankings.
That feels low to me now that I'm thinking about it and looking at that record, 67-33. Maybe he needs kind of the playoff success one year to break through to get higher, but I think he's awesome.
Yeah. The potential hole for the Packers is, will they be able to stop the run without vaunted run stopper Kenny Clark, who ranked 51st in defensive stops among defensive tackles last year? So just something to keep an eye on. Will they be able to stop the run without that dominant force in the middle?
Well, Jerry had to go get a defensive tackle. It's not like he used a first-round pick last year on a defensive tackle that we didn't have in the top 100.
That's true. Who Cowboys fans yelled at us for saying that at the time. And I was like, I didn't have him in my top 100 long before the Cowboys reached for him.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I have another pick here. I just realized. And with the fifth pick, I'll take Kansas City, even though it's boring. And I think Buffalo and Baltimore, actually one of them will do it this year. I think Baltimore and Buffalo will get over the hump. I lean Baltimore, but I'll go Kansas City. We know they're going to be there.
Yeah. These are the 5 teams I feel like can win the Super Bowl. Like, I don't really feel like there's much left that actually can win the Super Bowl.
2 more for me.
There's 2 more for you.
But even I will admit that they're like a step down.
Yeah, I've got 3 teams listed because I ranked 8. I mean, I don't really believe this. So I'm not going to say this with my chest, but I got to pick somebody. So I'm going to take the Lions. I think the Lions could have a bad year this year, losing both coordinators. I think you could see a regression from Goff. They lost 2 of their 3 interior offensive linemen, and they rely a ton on dominating the trenches. However, this has been a good team for several years in a row, and they've been plagued by injuries. And so, if they can get healthy, and if Dan Campbell is as good in the locker room as it appears that he is, can they string this thing together? I think it's possible. They certainly know how to win and how to go through adversity. So, I'll take the Lions. And then I'm going to take a team that we liked before devastating news hit, and that was the Rashawn Slater injury. And I don't believe this anymore because of that injury. But, again, I got to fill out a spot here. So give me the Chargers. Maybe the Chargers are able to also, persevere through that. This is a team we were really high on before Rashawn Slater was lost for the year, and that's a huge blow to that offense. But I'll take the Chargers here for my last pick.
I had the Chargers 8th, so I would have taken the Chargers if you would have taken one of my 2 here. But I'm going to go with the Rams. It's dependent on Stafford's health, but I do think that roster is good enough to make a run. And we've doubted the Rams so many times when they've had bad rosters and they go 11-6 or whatever they do and make the playoffs and give a team trouble. So now when they actually have a good roster, I'm going to ignore some of the Stafford health stuff. And then the one last one, and I include them in my 7 that I think really can win the title. But we talked about it. I don't know if Todd Bowles is.
They were my other team.
I don't know if he's a Super Bowl head coach, and that's the holdback on here. I'm going to go with the Bucs.
But you've got 4 now. Chiefs and then Rams were your 4th.
What am I doing? I'm picking a 5th.
But I was going to ask who your other team was to see if it was the Bucs, because that's who I had. I did not have the Rams on just because of all the concerns about Stafford's health, but I'm with you on that.
The Bucs and Rams are even for me, like dead even. Honestly, maybe I might even give a nod to Tampa. But Sean McVay.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so that is Super Bowl winner. Mark, you're up next. Which category would you like?
No, I picked Super Bowl winner, so you're up next.
Oh, shoot, you're right. Let's go first overall pick. We'll flip the flip side of that. I will smash the New Orleans Saints to have the number 1 overall pick in the next draft. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Their current starting quarterback should not have been a day 1 or day 2 draft pick. So give me the Saints.
Yeah, that's the correct pick. I'm going to go with the Browns as my number 2 pick.
Also the correct pick if the Saints aren't on the board.
Those top 2 are so obvious. And then I'm going to go with the Giants. I'm going to go with the Giants, and there's another team I could easily pick over the Giants. But I'll just say, can people calm down about the Giants? I'm seeing a lot of Giants optimism out there, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on like podcasts where it's like, who's going to be better than people think? It's actually going to be the Giants. And it's like, no, they're not. I can tell you right now, they're not going to be better than people think because they're a terrible roster. And people can get excited as much as they want about Abdul Carter. They were good on the defensive line last year, and they were horrible. And they'll be better at quarterback. They're not going to be good at quarterback. So I still think the Giants are going to be really bad.
Yeah, they were a little further down my list because I think they're bad, but I think having Jameis in the building, and I mean having Russell Wilson in the building, I don't love him, but having those 2 guys in the building, I think you almost have to have incompetent quarterback play, I feel like, to get the number 1 overall pick. And I don't think they'll be quite that.
Dart could be bad. I know people are excited about him, but I do think Dart's going to get in soon.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be bad.
I don't know. They were number 5 on my list. I had 2 other teams in front of them, and so I'll take both of those teams now. Give me the Titans. It's just a bad roster. It's a bad team. It's a rookie quarterback. It's probably a lame duck head coach. So I could see a scenario where the Titans are just really bad. And then I'm going to stick in the same division. Give me the Colts. So, which is, perhaps a little shaky when you're picking 2 teams that are in the same division. But the Colts quarterback situation is so bad. And I hesitated on this one too because I don't think Daniel Jones is bad enough to get you to a number 1 pick, but
He might be.
he's pretty bad, and there's not a lot else going on for that team. So I'll go Titans and Colts.
My pushback there would be you think you need full incompetence from quarterback. I think in some ways you need full incompetence from head coach too. And I think Steichen's awesome. And I think Steichen gives you like a 6-7 win floor. So I actually have the Colts winning 7 games this year, even though I think they're horrible. I think Steichen will just kind of white knuckle it there. Give me Dallas. I'll take the Cowboys. I do think there is tremendous flame out potential from Dallas and just a disaster potential, maybe a Dak injury, which people are going to say, oh, you're predicting an injury. Dak's been injured a lot.
He has, yeah.
It's not like someone where I'm saying, oh, maybe Josh Allen injury. Like he hasn't really gotten hurt. Like Dak has missed a lot of time, so it's not that crazy. And especially given the fact that the offensive line is not what it was before. So who do I have so far? I have the Browns, the Browns, Giants, and Cowboys.
Dak has missed significant time in 3 of the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Although it has been an every other season thing, so he should be healthy this year.
I have my number 6 and number 7 team on my list here. I'm trying to decide where to go. I'll go with Miami. Okay. The secondary and O-line are so bad. So yeah, give me Miami.
All right. I don't love this one, but I'll close it out here with the Jets.
Boo.
I don't think it'll happen, but I can see Justin Fields implodes. There's not much else there. And the team just kind of falls apart. And I think this is a team that if the QB play is really bad, I think they would just crumple because the QB play has been bad for so long. And the defense has tried to carry this team, and I could just see it like a defense just throwing their hands up in exasperation and folding it in for the year pretty early if Fields is bad. So I'll take the Jets here to close it out. So let's go to a couple comments before we get to the next category. J-Rock's loving the shade we threw at the Cowboys while talking about the Packers. Also said no Commanders on our Super Bowl winner list. And Mark and I both kind of talked about we think they're pretty big candidates for regression this season. But you can check out our NFC and AFC East preview show. We did a series of preview shows covering each division over the last 4 episodes. Yep. So check those out. There's also some slander for Oasis coming in from Davey. So you'll have to hash that out with him, Mark. He also thinks that we're maybe a little too low on the Giants, has them around 7 wins. J-Rock agrees the Giants' floor is higher than you think.
This is what I mean. People love the Giants. People are in on the Giants.
Yeah. And then Anthony says, I think Russ is cooked. I wonder how long it'll take the Giants to go with Dart. It could be early. And then last question here, and we'll get back to the draft. Davey asks if Kellen Moore gets fired, would you bring him back to Philadelphia? I mean, you'd have to have a spot, right? If Patullo would have to be gone, either fired or hired somewhere else. But I wouldn't be opposed. I don't think he was like some great offensive coordinator for the Eagles, but I'd take him back if there was a spot there.
It's right church, wrong pew. It's Shane Steichen.
Oh, absolutely, Shane Steichen if he were available.
It's Steichen. That's the dream. The dream is Steichen which he's going to. He's going to be fired by the Colts. The dream is that Steichen gets fired, Patullo gets a job. And I guess this is a weird question. How good would Patullo have to be without getting a head coaching job to avoid Steichen taking his job?
I mean, I don't think they would fire Patullo just to get Steichen back in the building. It'd
have to be Brian Johnson level.
Yeah, it'd have to be bad, I think. So, okay,
real quick though, we mentioned the Commanders and we haven't talked about this stat. Jimmy Kempski had a tweet last week. He's been calculating the average age of every team in the NFL at final cutdowns every year since 2012. The 2 oldest teams previously were the 2023 Saints and the 2018 Raiders at an average age of 27.4 years old. The 2025 Commanders have an average age of 28.1 years old, and the Eagles' average age is 25.49. if you took the 27 oldest Commanders players and shaved 5 years off of each of their ages, their roster would still be older than the Eagles.
That's crazy.
That's unbelievable. And no other team in the NFL has 18 players that are 29 plus. They have 25 players that are 29 plus. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is insane. That's truly insane.
And we are second to least in the NFL, by the way, with only 6 players that are 29 plus.
All right.
Packers are 32nd. Fun fact.
Yeah. Packers and Eagles might be around for a long time. So, okay, let's keep rolling here. I'm going to go with Offensive Player of the Year next. So in the last 6 years, no quarterback has won this award. There also, no disrespect to Saquon, have been no repeat winners since Marshall Faulk three-peated from 1999 to 2001. So Saquon is not going to be my first pick here. My first pick is going to be Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase won the Triple Crown last year, but was only third in Offensive Player of the Year voting. Mark, there have been 4 other Triple Crown winners in NFL history. How many of them do you think won Offensive Player of the Year?
2.
Actually, only 1, which seems really disrespectful.
I knew it was going to be that way, yeah.
Yeah, actually seems really disrespectful, but I feel like I feel like the Bengals are not going to be that great this year, but if they are going to win games, they're going to have to put up like 35 points a game, as evidenced by the Eagles' backups blowing out their starters in the preseason. So, I mean, if that's going to happen, Ja'Marr Chase is going to be up there again. And there's going to be some lingering, like, man, he won the Triple Crown last year, but didn't win Offensive Player of the Year because Saquon was unbelievable, and it might slant his direction regardless. So give me Ja'Marr for my first pick.
This is me being dumb, by the way. This is like, I've won this 2 years in a row, and maybe I'm being a little too cocky. I have this bet. I love this bet. Ashton Jeanty is 75-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year. I know it'd be crazy for a rookie to win Offensive Player of the Year. I think there's a chance he is the best running back in football day one. I think he's going to get that many touches. I think he's that special. Give me Jeanty at 75-1. Is he the most likely to win it? Probably not. But I love it, and I really just wanted to bet Jeanty 75-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year.
All right. Has that ever happened before?
I would guess no.
Earl Campbell did it in 1978.
Love it. Love it.
So that's the only time it's ever happened. So Mark is betting on something that hasn't happened in our lifetime.
22. How was it? 47 years.
And
yeah,
given how these drafts have gone, I'm sure it's going to happen. So what's your second pick?
I'll take Jefferson. Just for like a narrative, like if Jefferson maybe has a little bit better of a year, and it's like he really is quarterback proof, or if the Vikings offense just doesn't skip a beat and they're awesome. Like I feel like it might not be like a statistic based award for Jefferson, but maybe more of a narrative based one.
All right. I'm going to double dip at running back on the swing around here. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is an incredible talent, does a ton for the Lions. It's always going to be concerning if touchdowns are going to get vultured from him, but he's also really active in the receiving game. So give me Jahmyr Gibbs, and then give me Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson, I feel like people don't think he's maybe as good as he really is and has been because of the counting stats and the Falcons haven't been great. But you've got Michael Penix in this year. I think you're going to lean on that run game, and I think Robinson is so good. So give me Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, Bijan was my fourth pick here. I guess I shouldn't keep going like crazy picks, but I might just keep going crazy picks.
Please do.
Yeah.
Penei Sewell?
No, not that crazy. I guess it's not that crazy. He's 25-1. I keep thinking about this. Last year, it's a fantasy thing, but Puka Nacua finished higher on fantasy points per game than Justin Jefferson. He only had 3 touchdowns while doing it. Like, what if Puka maintains all of the efficiency that he had all the last 2 years with just 11 touchdowns instead of 7 as rookie year or 3 last year. I think Puka has a chance to be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy. I've said that a lot, just based on natural touchdown progression and if Stafford stays healthy. So give me Puka as kind of a, I don't know if it's a shot in the dark, if that's fair to say, but. And then I'll go with one that's just a lottery ticket. He might stay healthy. Christian McCaffrey. If Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, he's usually pretty darn elite. I forget the exact stat, but he's either finished top 2 or outside the top 50 in every year of his career from a fantasy standpoint as a running back.
All right. So CMC there. We've got a comment from J-Rock that says, I think expecting a Saquon regression is smart, but you have him dropping through the floor to not even being in the running. I will say I'm working off of that. Part of that is the whole, it's hard to repeat because if Saquon leads the league with, 1,680 rushing yards next year, I feel like voters will be like, well, that was like 300 yards worse than last year, and they'll just give it to a receiver, which is why I went receiver 1. And then the only other receiver I really think has a good chance in Jefferson was off the board when it got back to me. So there's some regression stuff, and then there's some just comparing it to the season before going there. And Saquon is right here on my list along with another guy, but I am going to take the other guy. I'll take Derrick Henry because I also think if it's close between, let's say Derrick Henry and Saquon are 1-2 this year again. They were 1-2 last year, and Saquon got the award. So even if he outrushes Henry by a little bit, I could see awards are narrative based. If it's close, I think the tiebreaker would go to Henry this year because he didn't get it last year.
Yeah, and if he outrushes Gibbs or Bijan or McCaffrey by 100 or 200, all of them are going to outcatch him. So that'll help in that debate as well. But does that finish out? Do we both have 4 there?
We do. So that puts you up to pick from MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, or First Coach Fired.
Let's go MVP. Let's go MVP. And I'll go with Josh Allen, first overall pick. I don't think anybody's going to challenge the Bills in that division. He's not my pick to win MVP. If I was just like making a pick for fun, I would go a little bit more deeper down the board, but probably the safest bet to be in the running. He's been incredibly durable is probably Josh Allen.
Yeah, this is a QB award. QBs have won it 17 of the last 18 years. In the last 12 years, the quarterback of the 1 or 2 seed has won it. And so you're basically asking what quarterback is going to play for a really good team. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was the slam dunk to win the award last year and got ripped off. And I think voters and football nerds know that. And again, I think if it's close this year, he's getting the award because he should have had it in a landslide last year. And Josh Allen is seeking to become only the 5th quarterback to repeat as MVP. And so that's going to be stacked against him a little bit too. Lamar Jackson's the only quarterback, by the way, with multiple MVPs and no Super Bowls. So he's been there. And that's part of, honestly, why I think he didn't win it last year. There is fatigue with giving the same guy MVP year after year. That's why I think if it's close, Allen wouldn't get it this year, but I think Lamar would. The next guy I'm going to go with here, and this one kind of violates my rule of quarterback of the 1 or the 2 seed, but if this team is like a 2 seed, it's because this guy played unbelievably. I'll go with Joe Burrow. He's going to have to throw for 5,200 yards to get this team into that sort of position. And I could see there being a place where, like, man, Joe Burrow throws for 5,000 yards, but they're 8-9 and miss the playoffs, and being like, can you imagine what this team would be like without Joe Burrow? And they give him the MVP anyways and sort of break that. So I'll go Joe Burrow for my second pick.
I am going to be a little bit off the board here, go down the board a couple spots. And I'm going with the guy on my jersey. I'm taking Jalen. Give me.
He was
Jalen
the next
Hurts.
guy on my list.
He's my pick to win MVP this year. Just fully honestly, I think that the Eagles are going to go 12-5, 13-4, and be a 1 or a 2 seed. And I think Saquon's probably going to have like 1,000 to 1,400 yards. And people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, the Eagles' offense stayed elite when we thought that they were totally based on Saquon, and Saquon didn't even do the year he had last year. And I think just naturally, we've talked about this a lot, but I've been investing a lot in AJ and Devontae and Goddard for fantasy because I think the Eagles are going to have the biggest improvement in the NFL year to year in terms of throwing. Not improvement, I shouldn't say. I should literally just say an added volume. Like, I think they are going to throw more than last year by a wider margin than any team in the NFL. And that's not some grand scheme change or some change in philosophy. I think it's just going to be natural. The defense is probably not going to be as rock solid elite as it was last year. I know that Aaron Schatz from Football Outsider, used to be Football Outsiders, said that the second half of the year was like the best defensive metrics they've ever seen any NFL team have from the Eagles. And if you include the playoffs in there, like, that's probably not going to happen. We've talked a lot on here about how year-to-year defense does not repeat very often, and they're probably just going to be in more shootouts. So give me Jalen. I think Jalen has a big year statistically, a big narrative year, and I think the Eagles remain on top.
All right. Yeah, that's a great pick. He was number 4 on my list because, I mean, at a certain point, if the guy has got his team in the 1 or 2 seed positioning again, the tide's got to turn in the national discourse, I would think. Maybe not, but okay, so you have Hurts. Who is your next pick?
I'll stick in the NFC East. I'll go Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels went 3,000, of course, he went to advanced passing. 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks, and he ran for 891 yards and 6 touchdowns. What if he throws for like 4,000 and runs for 1,000? And Washington's 12-5, and he's slightly better than he was last year, and it wasn't a fluke. And I think Jayden has a high upside that a lot of these other guys don't have.
All right. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs are going to win double-digit games. I mean, obviously, barring injury, things, whatever. He's going to do it with no receivers again. And you're going to get the "are we devaluing Patrick Mahomes too much" things start to come around as people start to rank Lamar and Josh Allen above Patrick Mahomes. And so it's a narrative award. I could see him doing well there. And then the other one, I mean, I said quarterbacks of 1 or 2 seeds. It's the guy, the team that we think is the biggest competitor in the NFC now. It's the Packers, so give me Jordan Love.
That's who I wanted there for sure. And that makes this tough. I'll go with Caleb Williams. Just as a what if the Bears are 13-4 and Ben Johnson really is a wizard. This pick probably should be Baker Mayfield, but I kind of struggle seeing Baker do better statistically than he did last year. So it's hard for me to, and he didn't even get like buzz last year for MVP. So if he didn't get buzz last year, I don't know I think that might be a statistical ceiling. I'll go with Caleb because that'll be the shiny new object.
All right. That puts me up here. There is one of these categories I do not want the first pick, and I'm going to keep waiting on it. Let me go to Coach of the Year. Let's go to Coach of the Year. Since 2015, by the way, only 2 coaches have followed up their Coach of the Year win with a playoff appearance the following season. So this is very much a flash in the pan award.
Well, in the NBA, Shane, there was like a 10-year stretch where the NBA Coach of the Year was fired in like 18 months.
Yeah. So it's very much a who overperformed expectations on a 1-year sample size. The easiest way to do that is to be a first-year head coach. So give me Ben Johnson for all the reasons you just took Caleb Williams to be MVP. I get some exposure basically to that outcome here with Ben Johnson as Coach of the Year, because that would certainly happen in that scenario.
He was absolutely my top pick. Now I'm trying to decide, do I go with the surprise team or do I go with like the 1 seed that just gets a lot of credit? I'll take Pete Carroll and Aaron Glenn. I have the Jets and Raiders both exceeding expectations tremendously and sneaking into the playoffs. So I'll go with both of them.
All right. By the way, Pete Carroll is one of only 2 active head coaches to win a Super Bowl and appear in another Super Bowl, but never win Coach of the Year.
Wow. Fix it, folks.
So, all right, Pete Carroll and Aaron Glenn. Give me Liam Cohen. Just going to
Oh, I like
continue
that.
to follow the first-year head coach thing. First-year head coach with a turnaround is always a good pick here. And then, I'm going to just continue to buy stock in this team. But give me Matt LaFleur. I think if the Packers just have this unbelievable year, they're a 1 seed, whatever, and we certainly think that's possible in the range of outcomes. I think Matt LaFleur would very deservedly get his flowers for that. So I'll go Matt LaFleur.
I'll take Vrabel.
Okay.
As like if Drake May turns into a stud and the Patriots are just the early Vrabel Titans immediately, I'll take Vrabel. I'm really struggling with the 4th here. I'll take McVay. Yeah, I guess I'll take McVay as just like what if the Rams win 14 games and there's all this stuff about Stafford's back, and yeah, that was a bad pick.
That's not the Sean I thought you would take.
Where did you think I was? Peyton.
Yeah.
I'm out on Denver, as you know, so I can't do it. And I think the expectations are so high. I was between McVay and Harbaugh, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so by the way, do you know who the other coach is to win a Super Bowl and be in another but not win Coach of the Year?
Andy?
No. He's won it.
Harbaugh?
Nope.
John, I meant. But yeah, I don't know.
Sirianni.
Oh, duh. Yeah, duh.
But I can't take Sirianni because we've seen the mental gymnastics people hop through to discredit Hurts. Sirianni could go 17-0. He would not win the award. I'm going to go with Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is, coming off of losing both coordinators, and so I feel like he's going to get a lot of credit if the Lions are a good football team this year. And I think they could be a good football team just by virtue of not being injured as much as they have been in previous years. And so, if they're roughly the same as they were the last few years, I think Campbell could get a lot of credit for that. So it's not a 1-year turnaround, but it would be a big stabilizing force. So I'll take Campbell. That leaves us, Mark, with Defensive Player of the Year and first coach fired.
I should have drafted Canales, by the way, over McVay. That was a drop of the ball. I don't even really believe in Carolina, but if they win 9 or 10 games, Canales will be the reason why. I'll take first coach fired.
Dang it. I did not want to pick first in Defensive Player of the Year.
Neither did I.
I might make you pick first. It's my category. You pick first.
First coach fired. I'll take Mike McDaniel. Feels like things are headed in an ugly direction there.
Yeah. He was number 3 on my list. Number 1 on my list is Brian Daboll. I think they're going to be really bad, but also like they can always just switch to Jackson Dart, which probably buys you some time.
Yeah, that was why he was lower on mine.
And then the other guy I'm going to go with is Zach Taylor. The Bengals. I gave the stat on our preview show for their division on the AFC North preview show, but it was something like, I don't have it in front of me, that over the last 4 years they've started the season like 1-11 or something like that. I think coming off of last year, I think the defense is going to be really bad. I could see a scenario where they're like 2-5 7 weeks into the season and they just axe Zach Taylor. So I'll take Brian Daboll and Zach Taylor.
I'll take Shane Steichen.
He was next on my list.
New owner, they could get restless a little quicker than maybe some of the other owners in the league. They haven't done this job very long, so maybe it's week 4 and they're 0-4 and they're like, what's the point of keeping him? We're going to fire him at the end of the year anyway. Then I'll go Jonathan Gannon. I'll go double Eagles coordinators there. I'll go Gannon just because there's already this, like Kyler and Petzing had this stuff last year where they were sniping each other in the media. Like, if things don't get right with Kyler, people are going to lose their job. It probably won't happen again in mid-season, but maybe there could be like enough drama and strife and stuff in the media that gets out that could cost them.
All right. There's 3 names left that I kind of like. I'm gonna go, man. So I'm thinking about Brian Callahan,
Yeah, he's on my list.
but also they just had the number 1 overall pick, and so I feel like you're not gonna fire a guy 8 weeks into the season with a rookie quarterback that was highly drafted, especially in his second season. But then I'm sitting there looking at Kevin Stefanski, and it's like, well, he also has rookie quarterback, 2 of them, but I could see that becoming a clown show that totally gets out of hand. And so I'm going to take Kevin Stefanski.
That's the right pick.
And then I'm actually going to leave Brian Callahan on the board because I'm going to go with a different Brian. But give me Brian Schottenheimer. We talked about earlier how the Cowboys could be a disaster. And I do think that would require, like, for Schottenheimer to get fired mid-season in his first season would be horrific process by the Cowboys, but we've already discussed their horrific processes in this show. I could see, especially, we mentioned Dak's health. If Dak, gets injured and misses, significant time at the start of the year or something, this could be a really bad team and it spirals out of control. Schottenheimer is already going to have to manage a locker room that's probably really upset with the Parsons deal. So I could see that getting out of hand. So give me Brian Schottenheimer.
I want to take Callahan, but I was actually listening to Heed the Call this week, and they were talking. There's a Titans producer on that show, and he says how the owner is very cognizant of everyone thinking that the Titans are a joke and is going to keep Callahan longer than she should, even if she should fire him. Kind of. I'll go with Raheem Morris. If Atlanta's just a disaster, there are some expectations there. So if you have a 1-6 start or 2-5 start, maybe he does get canned. Maybe Arthur Blank is also entering senile old owner mode where he gets upset and fires a coach if they have a bad month. So give me Raheem. I also think he's a bad coach, so that's kind of part of it.
Yeah. All right, so that leaves us with Defensive Player of the Year. Did not want to draft first in this category. In the last 10 years, it's been won by 2 corners and 8 pass rushers, and there's 3 pass rushers that everybody should want on their card here. And Mark's going to get 2 of them. But I'll take Micah Parsons with the first pick. I think it's a great storyline. Cowboys trade Micah Parsons, and he has 17 sacks and wins Defensive Player of the Year. So give me Parsons.
I'll take TJ Watt, and I'll take Myles Garrett. I don't think there's much more to say about it.
Hate you. All right. I will go with... Give me Trey Hendrickson. I know guys holding out don't have the greatest track record of coming back, but if this Bengals defense is literally going to do anything, it's going to rest on the back of Trey Hendrickson, and he's coming off of back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons. I feel like at a certain point, if he keeps putting up sack totals like that, people are going to be like, man, this guy had 17 sacks 3 years in a row. We should probably vote for him this year. So give me Trey Hendrickson. And then I will also take Aiden Hutchinson. He will get that bump for, he's coming off a major injury. He's playing for the Lions. Everybody loves the Lions. So I'll take Hendrickson and Hutchinson.
I will take Will Anderson.
All right.
And then I will take... I'll take Surtain. He won it last year. I don't think he'll win it again, but I'll take Surtain.
All right. I will round us out here. Give me Jared Verse. I did not put up a lot of sacks last year, but was ridiculously high in pressures and pressure rate. If the Rams are going to be good, he's going to have a good year, and I could see him getting a lot of love for being, such a good player in his second year. So I will take Jared Verse. And that's it, folks. That is going to wrap up our annual awards draft that I'm definitely beating Mark in this year. I've already traveled to the future and seen. So thanks for trying, Mark. But this year, it's just not your year.
Hey, Ashton Genty, Offensive Player of the Year 2025, 75-1. Bet it.
If that hits, we're putting that clip all over social media.
If that wins, I don't care about the rest of the awards. Shane can go 7-1 if I can get the Genty OPOY. I'll be a happy camper. Well, I guess I would probably get Offensive Rookie of the Year too there.
Can you imagine if he wins Offensive Player of the Year and they give Offensive Rookie of the Year to somebody
Marion
else?
Hampton's been pretty good.
Yeah. Thanks for joining the show, Anthony. Commenting here saying great show. And folks, this is our last off-season show. Next week on Monday, I think we got to work out a few scheduling things still, but we'll be live recapping all of the Week 1 action. And so, obviously, except for Monday Night Football. So what this show will turn into, if you are new to the show, will be a recap of the full NFL. We won't really talk about the Eagles game because plenty of shows on the network are going to cover the Eagles. But we'll cover the rest of the league. So if you only watch the Eagles and you want to catch up with the rest of the league and know the major storylines in about an hour every Monday or Tuesday morning, this is your show. Make sure you're subscribed to the Eagles Pinpool Network so you get all of our shows, 9 weekly shows. 7 of them, I should say, are going to cover the Eagles pretty in-depth. We'll have a draft show that covers college football from an Eagles draft perspective, and then obviously this show covering the whole NFL. But Mark, before we get out of here, do you have any final thoughts you need to fire off?
No. Justin Fields revenge game Sunday. Jets, Jets +3. They're going to beat the Steelers.
Let's go. My fantasy team needs that because he's my quarterback as per Mark's suggestion. So
I love it. I got some Field stock as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to do it. Thank you guys for joining us for episode number 201 of Chalk Talk. I about set us back 2 years here. Thank you for joining us for episode number 201 of Chalk Talk. If you enjoy what you heard on the show, and we know that you guys do, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episode. Drop us a 5-star rating wherever you stream your podcast. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Shane Half NFL. He is at Mark Henry Jr. NFL. And we will catch you guys next time.